Hey everybody, it's Rev Dan again. Here we are, Worm Bin Wednesday. Bill Stanwood and I, and we are learning how to get our own worm bin started. So Bill, you've got a lot of stuff on the table on the bench behind you. What in the world is all this stuff?
Well, basically, Dan, it's a demonstration of how simple, how inexpensive, and how practical it is to get started with your own worm bin, which you can use at your house, or which we're going to use, one of these, this one, right here at the church. The fact is that this all starts with a container, and a container can be all sorts of things. For us, because you bought this at the auction for a very affordable price, is an already prepared bin. The things that we've done to an ordinary utility box are ventilate it and drain it so that the worms don't get too wet and they can breathe. We put ventilators in the sides. These are purchasable at Home Depot or whatever, very affordable. We put holes in the bottom of the bin so that it drains. This is a 1/8 inch drill bit that puts some holes in the bottom. And the question often comes up, now that I have holes in the bottom, where can I put this? And the answer is you could put it in a tray, even indoors, so that you put it in the tray, and if you have too much moisture in your bin, it will drain into the tray, it won't get on your floor, you won't have trouble from those people in your house that care about where the worm bin is.
Excellent. All right, so we have a bin, we have a lid, we have a tray. What else do we need to get started?
The truth is that there are so many things that are around the house. A worm bin requires a balance of materials. There are 2/3 of what we call brown or carbon materials in a worm bin. That gives the worms something to work in. It's a base. That brown can be all sorts of things. In this case, this is some packing material we got from Amazon. They sent us this for nothing, and we didn't waste it. We put it in an environmentally sensitive bag, and then we also have other brown all around us. So here's brown right here. We're going to use some of this in our worm bin. This is everywhere, and we're going to use that as a base for our worm bin because it helps drain the worm bin, keep it from having too much water in the top. Worms are, like us, able only to breathe air, and if they're underwater, they're going to drown. So we want their home to be well drained, and that's what the brown is about too. The other thing that we have in order to make a worm bin is soil. This is very inexpensive also, $3 a bag, and you could find it in your backyard and put a hole in your backyard, or you could get this extra material, and about half of the new material in your worm bin is going to be this kind of stuff, the brown and the topsoil, which is just ordinary dirt.
Just any topsoil will do. You
Any
don't have to be
topsoil.
concerned about the
Yeah.
acidity mix or any special information.
Well, you don't want it to be toxic, so if you know that plants don't live in it, don't put it in your worm
But if
bin.
it's a bag that says topsoil, you're probably good to go.
It is good to go, yes.
Perfect.
The fact is that the other material that goes in a worm bin is the garbage. This is from our house. This is about a week and a half of our kitchen scraps, and it is what we call the green. It is the nitrogen. The worms need nitrogen, that is their food, to live. So there's going to be this amount of worm food for this amount of worm territory. The likelihood is that with the right amount of diligence watching them, you're going to be able to feed them again when they've eaten this much, which a new worm bin, it might take them 3 or 4 weeks to eat this much. When your worm bin gets really established, they'll be able to eat that in a couple of weeks. And every time you have new kitchen scraps at your house, you'll be able to go out and put it in your worm bin. You get fertilizer.
Excellent. So we've got the equipment, we've got the supplies. It looks like the next step is going to be combining everything and starting our worm bin. So we will do that next week on Worm Bin Wednesday.